In this video, I will be presenting the effect of the COVID-19 pandemic on alcohol consumption among college students. I created this video as a part of my final project for my Motivation and Emotion Psychology class. The video will cover several themes that we have explored throughout the semester. I will start this video by telling you a story. This is Donnie. Donnie is a first-year student at a residential university in the United States, and she has no experience in drinking alcoholic beverages. This does not mean that Donnie is totally against drinking or minds if other people drink. Rather, she has no interest in drinking herself. Donnie was having a great college experience as a freshman, but unfortunately, due to the pandemic regulations, her experience is cut short, and the next time she goes back to in-person class is almost 2 years later for her third year of college. Donnie returns to campus with a changed mindset. She is now rather indifferent to alcohol consumption and participates in drinking any time she goes out with friends. So what made Donnie's relationship with alcohol change? Was Donnie's experience unique, or was her trend similar among other college students? Why do students even drink alcohol? Are there different types of motivators for alcohol consumption? Did these motivators change during the pandemic? How long do these patterns last? Can Donnie's experience also predict her drinking behavior patterns during other major life events? What is the effect of the COVID-19 pandemic on alcohol consumption among college students? Research has demonstrated that there are two main themes of motivation for drinking: negative reinforcement and positive reinforcement. Negative reinforcement, also known as personal effect motives, is when individuals drink alcohol as a coping mechanism, or to escape, avoid, or regulate unpleasant emotions. The self-medication hypothesis is often studied when we report negative reinforcement. This phenomenon essentially states that drinking to cope with negative effect causes more drinking, therefore more negative effect, a hurtful cycle. Individuals who drink alcohol to cope are more likely to develop abusive drinking patterns. On the other hand, positive reinforcement, also known as the social effect motive, describes drinking as a social mechanism. Individuals who drink because of positive reinforcement drink to be more social, to celebrate, and to have a good time. Furthermore, the characteristics of the COVID pandemic among college campuses presented a dangerous environment for college students. Firstly, only 28% of universities in the United States followed an in-person model of learning for the spring semester of 2020. Therefore, over 80% of schools were completely virtual or in a hybrid model of education. Limited social opportunities for students implied that drinking could no longer be motivated by the social aspect of drinking, and social, political, economic, and academic abnormalities increased stress levels among college students. Therefore, students faced higher coping and lower social motives for drinking. I have created 4 visual graphs that illustrate possible alcohol consumption patterns among different types of students as a function of the COVID-19 pandemic timeline. The red trajectories are predictions of students' long-run drinking habits. The first drinker I identify is the non-drinker, like Donnie. Donnie had no or very limited experience with drinking prior to the pandemic, and she started drinking alcohol after isolation. The average drinker drinks casually and socially pre-COVID and stops drinking during the pandemic due to limited social contexts. Once regulations loosen up, they can return to socially driven drinking patterns. Heavy drinkers drink high levels of alcohol pre-COVID and have 2 different trajectories. The first heavy drinker is driven more by social purposes, so their drinking levels drop during COVID. However, the second heavy drinker is driven more by coping purposes, so their drinking levels increase during the pandemic. Future research could explore what these students' drinking patterns will look like in the long run, and if there is a way to predict potential patterns. In addition, it would be interesting to find ways to encourage positive reinforcement over negative reinforcement, and further, to find ways to encourage non-alcoholic coping mechanisms and alternatives for college students.